Wait,
wish
so
that I
are
hadn't
you why
started.
Pat Darlin lost all that weight?
Yeah. I am.
I just like the
You
name
killed Fat Pat.
Darlin.
I killed Fat
You
Pat.
killed Fat Pat.
I named
Holy
him
shit.
Fat Pat
Yeah.
in like 6th grade.
I'm glad Fat Pat the name exists.
We don't even
but-
need to.
There was a guy named
It's all
Pat.
good.
We were friends. He
That's
was
it.
fat.
He
We did
was-
a bunch of drugs, and then he wasn't fucking fat. Drugs that I brought around.
Okay. Okay. The good
That's
one.
the name of the episode. You killed Fat Pat.
The Shug, Shane Hollister. Logan, Ineichen. Lyndon, Ehlers. Wrastlin with music and life. For life.
Wrestling with Music and Life, episode 25.
Almost 30.
Which is crazy. I don't know. Do we have an event scheduled for 30?
No.
Just is it done after the 10th craziness?
I don't know. I barely celebrated my 30th birthday. So.
Well, we're down a man today. Shuggy Woogie is wrestling right across the river for the whole day. And obviously, when I put this out, no spoiler, he had to wrestle like multiple times or something like that.
Right.
So he's going to be a sore monster tomorrow, Monday. Filling in for the Shug, even though we don't need it, me and Lyndon. We're the best. It's Jake the Mistake. And,
Jake.
you know,
Hi, bud.
don't hide yourself. You can kind of pull in a little bit. You can see yourself a little better.
I kind of like that he's sort of like.
It went the exact opposite
I
way.
can't-
Lyndon.
it's-
there you
It's
go.
backwards on camera.
Greasy meat. Anyway, he was on the.
I kind of liked the noir, like, kind
Right.
of in the corner, like.
I like it too. He's mysterious, and he's sporting a Darkrift shirt. Which,
Funny, because I was
you
going to
know,
wear my Darkrift shirt. That's funny. I decided not to.
Which we do have news about that. Right now, there's an update. B Park right now has basically told us that he's going to record drums. I kind of mentioned on the last episode. Lance was not here the last episode, and we talked about it a little bit with me and the Woogie.
thought you
Otherwise, it
told
was
me.
mostly pro wrestling talk. But yeah, we are doing a full length. We're going to do a full length, and we are in the process right now. And it kind of gets me to what I wanted to talk about today, which is like, before Lyndon came in, you know, me and Jake were recording, and we're recording our side project to our side projects. There's so many nowadays. But we were recording, you know, a lot of the ideas that he comes up with on bass, which seems to just never stop, which is good. Jake, keep
What I
him
do,
coming.
it's my thing, man.
Hell yeah.
And I can't use any of them for Darkrift
Right, Derek would instantly be like,
because I don't
absolutely not.
I don't write like that.
Right.
I see, for me, I can't write the things that you write, like the tapping stuff. It's just like, doesn't work.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't think.
I just we have wildly different styles.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't really do, and I try to emulate it. I just can't really do what you do either.
I don't even know what I do.
You're just super fucking good. Man.
Because
That's what he does. He's just super fucking good.
Is this just going to turn into an hour of me and Lyndon sucking each other's dicks about how good the other one is at bass?
right here. That's the cam for sucking a dick. You know, again, I guess my thing is one of the best things about, you know, starting something new or just starting something is like the inspirato that you get. It's almost like it's hard to explain to people. We three know. But when you're in this venture of like, we're going to do this and it's going to be this, and you kind of see, well, maybe you don't see the vision yet. And right now we're just recording bass riffs. What is going to be on the left and right? Is it going to be a guitar? Is it going to be a bass? Which I've kind of delved into a little bit, but it's just exciting, I guess is a word, for something new. Now, you know, you with Pit Lord right now, currently, you guys are about to put out a full length, and it'll be your second, right?
Yeah, second full length, fourth release.
Galleries of skewered swine.
Do you find that it's easy to write for, or like when you're writing riffs on your own in your bedroom and you're just jamming on stuff, do you find yourself coming up with riffs that you really like that don't really fit that project?
No. It just, that has happened before with other stuff for sure. But realistically, with Pit Lord, I don't write a ton from scratch. It's more or less writing to go with stuff that Dan has done.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is having said that, the first song that we released off of this one, Conquering the Bone, I wrote that actually, and that was like one of the first ones that I wrote from scratch.
Yeah.
Like I had those riffs, and I think Dan came up with a riff or two in it. But yeah, like with Pit Lord's fairly open-ended too. I mean, if it's kind of reminiscent to old death metal in some way or another, or thrash or something, it kind of works. There has been stuff that Dan has done where I thought maybe it didn't fit, but then we tried it and it, totally fit. Which has been my thing. It's like, well, let's just try it and see how it sounds with everything. Because you can have a riff, you have one thing, and it is easy to just pitch it aside and be like, I wouldn't want to do that. But then you go and you try it, and you have somebody else do something. I mean, but yeah, with Pit Lord, it hasn't happened. For like Obsidian Hammer, it's definitely happened where I wrote something that was maybe still kind of doom, but not the kind of doom that Obsidian Hammer does, so it kind of didn't fit. I'm probably more picky with that stuff than I am Pit Lord, because Pit Lord is just so... If it's over the top and silly, as long as we can do it, it's... Because we've been... Well, what Pit Lord has been like me trying to play heavy music without writing stupid, idiotic, just kind of blah, 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 and having a goddamn fucking, like, it's like taking the SATs every time I want to play it, and doing it live in front of people and always having to worry. I mean, I always worry about being solid, obviously, because I'm not stupid, but where every single show is like an anxiety attack. Am I going to hit this part?
It's like a fucking decathlon of music every time you play it. And
I'm not against trying new things. I'm not against trying to get better, but when it comes to when it's not fun, when I'm too worried about it, is when I start. So Pit Lord is like, I want to try and play death metal, but I want to do it like how I should have been playing death metal when I was like 17 versus, how I should have done it originally, and how I should have, doing it like a bass player should, at least at the start.
I feel like as a young musician that plays extreme metal, it's almost like a badge of honor that we award ourselves to write riffs that we can barely fucking play.
So that's kind of where I was going to go with that, because you actually hit on something, Lyndon, which is true. Jake, really, no offense, you haven't played a show with Darkrift yet, but some of the riffs that you're playing, I'm like, is he going to be able to do that without some douchebag? And again, I'm saying, you're doing a slap tap part all of a sudden, and then some fucking guy, there's just the factors you're not thinking about. Some guy with his hair just headbanging there gets into your way, and you're like, what the fuck?
That's happened to me.
It's happened to Lyndon.
Yeah.
So he has the advantage of actually playing and knowing.
But also,
to your point. It's a big point you just made.
I've had that happen, but it's never fucked me up so bad that you just get used to. The more you play, you get used to stuff like that happening. I've had people grab my bass. I've had
oh my god,
try to tap on it while I'm tapping, and
that's where you just soccer kick.
In a live setting, it's so high energy that I don't think, even if you drift a little bit, the people in the crowd, it's like when I went to see Metallica, it was great in the moment. And then they had this thing for a while, they might still, where you can get online and listen to the show that you attended.
Oh, that's cool.
That is pretty dope, actually.
And I did that, and it was just hot fucking garbage.
The band Hot Garbage place?
Yeah.
Okay.
But nobody in the crowd knew that when it was happening. It was, oh my God, we're seeing Metallica and they're off some fucking showmen and all this. And
you couldn't notice, you couldn't tell how bad it sounded.
Right.
Basically.
Which is crazy.
And I've played, I haven't played with you guys, but just busking on the street and stuff, you can biff over and over and over again, and you know it, and nobody else has a fucking clue.
Yeah, totally. I probably wouldn't notice if somebody fucked something up like minuscule.
Right.
Like if you were playing, you would hear it and it would be on your mind the rest of the night, but probably nobody noticed.
And the music's dissonant as shit anyway, so like tonally, if you play a wrong note, no one's gonna know because they all sound wrong. That the music is designed that way.
Yeah, it's just chaos.
If it's gonna go the way I want to go, just specifically to Darkrift, that bass should almost be, in my opinion, bigger than the guitar, because especially on the rhythm. Because I'm saying within a sound field, it should be bigger because we only have the one guitar player.
Yeah. So
Pitlord has it really good down where you guys' tone is so fucking thick with that bass that he's just one guitar player. There might be, I don't know if you guys have. It sounded like you had some sort of track as well.
There's a handful of stuff here and there where there's like a very kind of minimal backing guitar track. Mm-hmm. And for the newer stuff, there's a little more of that, but it's literally what's just necessary.
Right.
And there's one thing on the album, on the last album, where we had Jason Grievous do like a solo, but it's more just kind of like
Shouts
guitar
out to him.
wanking.
He's a bad dude.
Yeah, he's fucking super good. But it's not really a solo.
Isn't his band? Let's just put him out. It was like Nooses.
Yeah.
I've never heard them. I need to check them out.
It's like, I don't know if you dig it super well. It's like Napalm Death, like death grind, kind of like really aggressive grindcore with riffs rather than just stupid shit.
He had an appearance on yours.
Yeah, and Dan didn't even want to bother learning it because it's mostly just kind of like whammy bar
and
shit. Yeah, well, but we kind of have it bleed in from the background, as a track. So, but well, that's why I'm getting that DI. I'm getting that preamp because right now, like my tone is just the bass. I'm just going straight into our mixer.
Yeah.
It's slightly mixed, the bass, but when I have that Ampeg, I'll have Ampeg tone coming through the PA.
Ampeg is amazing.
Yeah.
I remember for the longest time, people would say Sans Amp. I think Sans Amp's still pretty fucking badass as far as a good DI as well as a distortion. I know this is getting into technicalities.
I don't really.
Nowadays, everybody's saying, "Hey, man, you don't even need anything. You could just do X-Effects or whatever, right?"
Well, people still use like the pod, the Line 6.
People do still use those things.
Line 6 Helix.
That's what Dan uses as a Helix,
and it's smart because it's a lot. I think it's easier. Ease of use is also something. Maybe you just eventually go like, "What's just fucking easy?" So I don't have to like figure shit out. And it already has like a stomp, so you can just stomp your tones instead of like with Axe. Of course, you got to buy the fucking floorboard, which is $700, the MC3 floorboard, and then you got to have a specific thing. With a Kemper, same thing. So you got
to have a laptop hooked up to all that.
Well, you might not.
I feel like most bands, at least that I've seen using Kempers, have laptops up there, and they have two Kempers. And that's what everything is going through. There's still amps on stage, though, and that's what I miss.
Yeah.
That's going away, and there's an aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
Right? So, which Zach Wilde always tapped into, because I saw a BLS show years and years ago, and it was super windy, and he had like this wall of Marshalls behind him. And the wind blew him and turned him around, and you could see that they were all just dummy amps.
Empty boxes. Yeah.
Which they would need to be, because that many fucking Marshalls would be absurd.
Nope. So many people don't understand it doesn't make any sense.
None.
Like there's I've only seen one band ever do anything like that, and have you ever heard of Jucifer?
Yeah.
And they do that.
Yeah.
They literally live in an RV and that pulls a trailer behind them that's nothing but amps that they buy
because it looks cool.
And they wire it all up. That's the difference. Is their sound it's just random combo amps and heads and cabinets and shit just haphazardly wired together. They wire it all up and they adjust it depending on what the venue's like, so they can play in like any size venue. They can build this huge wall, and it's ridiculous, but that's their thing. It's not like, oh, we're just trying to be loud.
Right.
It works with what they do.
And you'd have to have a brain to make that work.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That sounds like anxiety to me.
Yeah.
Like we're just.
I've tried to minimalize. I want to say though, because on the same note, he brings over the Morley, and that is adding a different texture or flavor to the ideas of Darkrift, and that's what the same pedal as what Cliff Burton used,
So the
right?
story behind that, you saw my Rick, right?
Hey, Jake, put that up to the camera real quick and just this is what we're talking about, but we're just talking about gear as opposed, well, everything's gear. But
Morley Power Fuzzwa, which has not fundamentally changed since the 60s.
that's what
When
Cliff
Jerry
Burton-
Garcia was using it. So my dad died, and I came into some money, and I was depressed, and I wanted to buy myself presents, and I was like, I've wanted to sound like Cliff Burton for fucking ever. I'm buying a Rickenbacker. So I do that, and I'm super excited to get it home and play Anesthesia, because I have an Ibanez Fathead, which is still a spectacular bass.
That's what I always saw. Did Cliff Burton play a Rick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm stupid.
He had something else, too.
Because I think I've always I've always seen the other thing.
It was some
always like
kind
this
of jazz.
Dirty, filthy jazz bass.
Oh, yeah, probably covered in weed and all sorts of goodies. I mean, I thought looking at the Rick when he brought it over, man, this is going to be hard to play, but it's really
Yeah,
easy.
that's-
You gotta
Once
use-
you took the
yeah.
fucking, whatever the
I took that thing
metal
off.
thing,
The pick
whatever-
guard,
pick
the
guard.
pickup guard thing.
I kind of like those things. I like the look of it, but
But it gets in the way.
Yeah.
Because, like, position-wise, it's right where I need to be.
okay.
Right.
And it's not like I can... Because I would plant my thumb there, but the guard is covering the fucking strings, so I
Yeah.
can't...
So I guess what I was getting at was just adding that Morley, the wah element. You have yourself basically a completely different band. We didn't do with Darkrift before at all, Linz. So this is going to be just a different expression. And like I said, you need thickness, because obviously we can just point at Pantera because they did it perfectly. But
I think bass tone is still. I think like Dime's tone
yeah,
is still amazing, but I don't think it applies as much anymore. I think there's better sounding tones.
Oh, yeah.
now.
But the general
But
principle
that's a
is the
subjective-
same.
yeah,
subjective thing.
yeah. Okay, I'll say that.
Yeah.
But their bass mix and tone, I think
Still
that
holds up.
works. If you're
that's
playing
Ampeg.
rock,
That's Ampeg.
rock in general. Oh yeah. Same thing, Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah.
Like, although I bet Alex Webster probably uses some. That's probably all digital now.
And I just watched a video with Terry Date, and he just explained how Rex was the one that impressed him the most.
Yeah.
On this
He did
last
so
interview.
much arranging.
Well, he did arranging, but he goes, tonally, I didn't have to do much to Rex.
Yeah.
Now, with Dime as well, he did kind of have to manipulate, and they tried different amps, and Dime was like, Randall, or fuck you, which is hilarious. And his, stories about them just getting crazy. But the point is they had to fill the gap. What's the gap? When a solo's happening and you don't have a backup track, you better have some doom.
Yeah, you don't have
you
a-
better have some fucking cool-ass shit.
I think that's so underrated. Is the solo section.
So difficult to do.
It is.
With just the bass as the rhythm, and you know who else does that? Fucking Decapitated, or at
Yep.
least they were doing it. I haven't heard the new album.
The new album is really
Because
good.
you'll lose,
I think you
and
should.
most bands, I feel like, lose a lot of momentum when they try it.
Yeah.
Especially a band that records a rhythm guitar section. And Pantera stopped doing that. So, like Cowboys from Hell, the solo has a rhythm guitar in it. And then when you hear them on, 101 proof, for me, it's a little bit disappointing. When
I think that's when the band stopped being a full band. This is another thing Terry Date talked about, which was that Phil wasn't recording with them anymore, and Terry Date wasn't around during that time.
Yeah.
So he didn't have that input. He obviously redid Reinventing the Steel, Terry Date, in his own way. And honestly, I like it better. I think it's...
I haven't heard that.
Oh my
There's
God. There's
a remix
from Terry Date. It's all on YouTube. Just jam it one night and you'll go, oh, that was in the song? Because he illuminates some screams that last forever.
I mean, I'll tell you, there's a lot of...
Go ahead.
There's a lot of Reinventing the Steel I don't remember, because
Dude,
that
when
was
you
the
listen
last
to
one I
this-
ever listened to.
There's some parts that never really spoke to me. Now, again, I'm still going to want to hear it the way I heard it the
War
first time.
Nerve is fucking disgusting
Yeah.
heavy. That's
Oh, my
probably...
God.
That's
the whole
one I
album,
remember.
I heard some fucking jackass that I work with call it really watered down Pantera album, and I'm like, dude,
What? That would be hell yeah.
That'd be everything hell yeah ever did.
Yeah, exactly.
because it makes them disappear is dark and fucking disturbing. You got We'll Grind That Axe for a long time.
Right.
You got fucking Revolution Is My Name is a banger.
yeah.
Yesterday Don't Mean Shit.
I mean, we could say the whole album, and that sums up what you're saying. And I'm just saying that there's parts where you're like, oh shit, Phil literally fucking screamed for like 5 minutes. And it's just, the whole fucking time. And you're like, oh, that's so much heavier and cooler.
Yeah.
Thanks, Terry Date.
I will give you that, I will grant this guy that I was talking to that Trendkill was, I think, a more pissed off album.
Right.
Like Suicide Note Part 2, to bring it back around to the whole
maybe that's what I was thinking of. Maybe I've never heard Reinventing the Steel.
Are you that high? I have played Reinventing the Steel for you a million times.
Probably. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're good. No, Terry Date actually did the producing on Southern Trendkill. He just didn't do it for Reinventing. It was his assistant, I can't remember his fucking name. He was talking about him. Very brilliant. Just did it in a different way. And by then, Vinnie Paul was already. You got to remember, their dad was an engineer, and he was already basically to the point where he didn't really need an engineer because Terry Date was basically his second opinion. Yeah. And that's how he describes it. Was Vinnie Paul was so smart with engineering, he really didn't need to be there. They would have sounded great. And the album before was power metal, right? They did that themselves, I believe, at Atco Records, which was their dad's recording studio. So again, you're talking advantage. No offense to Pantera, but advantage because you have your dad showing you how to do shit.
And he owned all the clubs. Like, exactly. Vinny owned all the clubs that they were playing in.
Businessman, because of his dad, who was a businessman.
So I feel like we would have launched Darkrift 10 years ago if we had a bunch of fucking titty clubs that we could have played in.
Yeah, it's opportunity that you may or may not have just been born with or access to one way or another. It makes a huge difference.
But Lyndon always says, shoulda, coulda, woulda, who cares? Do what you got to do.
Well, I have said that exact thing. Mm-hmm. Well, it's like, I was thinking about it, I think about a handful of people I know that are like in the Chicago area that like work at like Reggie's or they work at venues, or like people I've met who are in bands and for their job, they are sound guys or they're they work in the concert industry. They work for tour agencies, like some of them are like tour managers. And you go, oh, now I see why this band is able to tour 6 months out of the fucking year.
Because they don't have a W-2 job that they need to answer
and
to.
They know everybody already.
Smart, right?
You know everybody you need to know already to and not to say that they didn't work, because all those bands, I mean, they're still, in the grand scheme of things, a lot of them are still nobody bands.
And they're not making money when they're out touring, they're not making money doing it.
No, they don't have like a cozy apartment filled with many great things
they have
like
a van
I probably do.
That smells like farts.
Yeah, because I have to work full time. Yeah.
It's fart van.
And I mean, nobody says you have to tour 6 months out of the year.
Exactly.
That's not required.
Right.
I'd be happy to do it once a year or once every few years or something.
I would be overwhelmed to be playing as many shows as you do.
Yeah.
Really?
Honestly, this past year is the most shows I've ever played in probably a year's time in my life.
I saw that you guys got billing above Toxic Ruin. And
we booked. Wait, what show?
I just saw a flyer.
The red one, the red flyer.
Yeah, it was.
That's our release show.
It's a release, so
we booked Toxic Ruin to play with us.
Still, it looks fucking cool on the flyer. That'd be like, if
we have this fake beef that has gone on with them forever, like where we each band hates each other.
Kind of like a toxic relationship, maybe.
I'm in the middle of editing a video right now that we shot last night where I call them the most toxic band, like in Wisconsin or something. But I was like, however make this flyer, because I built that flyer. I was like, however I make it, it has to be where Toxic Ruin is like nestled underneath like
They look
our logo.
smaller than us.
I love
Even though they're like all respect to that band, they are if probably the number one reason we excelled as a live band after like playing with them on the first Cookout.
Fuck yeah.
And we were watching them, and they had in-ears. They have no heads on stage. They just had amps, and it was all running from one.
Nice.
Because Steve, the vocalist and bassist, is a sound guy. So like they even like have rehearsed like switching good positions on stage.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, and we just watched them, and they got done, and Dan just goes, damn. he's like, we got to do all that, dude. And that's when we fucking looked into using in-ears and stuff. And like, but yeah, they're fucking really good though.
Yeah.
Like those dudes think about everything. And yeah, to be able to book them, to be able to just message Steve and be like, hey, you want to like
ruin
support us
toxically?
directly for our
Because-
release show? Because you guys are awesome.
I know I've said this to you more than once, but you're the top tier. You are the number one metal band in the area,
Thank you.
bar none.
I would think so. I mean, again, I don't know.
And you're well established. Everyone knows who
is the
Freitag is.
barometer? You know, like who's, you know, I would say just that you're always going to bring a good show. You and Dan have it down. And especially with that show in particular, no offense, I don't really know. I haven't heard Toxic Ruin. I'll check them out. But I would say,
yeah.
I would say just, let
me tell you.
ahead.
They covered Crystal Mountain
Nice. So did
perfect.
I in seventh
Perfectly.
grade, but yeah.
Perfect. I mean, they covered Crystal Mountain, and we also saw them cover at another show. They covered not Ride the Lightning. They covered Metallica. I can't remember what it was, but it was not only was it perfect, it was the best live Metallica I have heard. Another band. The first best Metallica cover I've ever heard in my life.
I mean, I should hope.
like-
I don't want to say garden variety because that makes it sound like they're not interesting, but they're like old school Bay Area style, straightforward thrash. You should be able to fucking cover
But
that.
there's an
Lyndon
extra
was
level
too
to
young.
Toxic. They're fucking.
He was too young to see me cover that.
Sure. Thank
It was
God.
amazing. It was way better than Toxic Ruin. Anyway, go ahead.
Like, I'm at least happy that, like, just today, me and Emily went to Walmart because I needed work boots, and
Been there.
I had like one of my jackets on, and this random kid was like, "Hey man, nice jacket. Are you in a band?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm in Pit Lord." He's like, "Oh yeah," like he didn't know me, but he knew Pit Lord. I was like, "That's
yeah.
fucking perfect."
Yeah, dude. Now
like-
you know you have fans.
And
Street cred.
said, "Do you like stoner metal?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm not stupid."
Hey, do you want this gummy?
But I don't know. It's been crazy because, like, when Dan asked me to do it and he told me the idea, I was like, it's gonna go one of two ways. It's so stupid and everybody's gonna laugh and we're gonna be dumb about it and we're not gonna do it right.
Love it.
Or it's the most clever idea anybody has had in metal in so long, and if we can pull it off live, like, if we can pull it off, it'll be so good. And as we take it seriously, like, if we take being funny and being metal seriously, without being, man, it'll be
22.
so good. And so far it's been, I mean, I'm always of the mind where I'm like, we could always be doing more.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, we're always doing enough and we happen to hit the right beats when we need to, but also, like, we're not, like, working ourselves to death because we both have full-time jobs.
Exactly.
But man, dude, to be honest, like, the most successful thing that I didn't realize until just recently is, like, we put like $1,200 into the band to start right away. Like, we did those 2 shirt designs and we did the aprons and then we did the first show. And from that point on, I think Dan and I, like, in terms of like merch or album releases or anything, any high dollar spending we've had to do has been paid for by the band since then.
Exactly.
Like, we've hardly put any. I mean, each of us have spent money on other things for what we need personally, and there's stuff here and there.
But like the Pit Lord Treasury Fund,
it is paid for itself. Like the new album, the records and the CDs and the T-shirts all paid. Like everything from before paid for that.
Right. I would call that a success, man. I mean, that's more success than Darkrift can boast.
I mean, well, but I mean,
no, we sold everything. I wish that was a joke. We actually our 2 shows. Like, me and Derek were like, "What the fuck? Everybody bought everything."
Yeah. It happens.
And again, we still have
because you guys fucking like that. The Metal Fest show was like, you guys were the coolest band of the fucking day.
Well, thank you, because I didn't think so. I thought that.
I remember telling Tommy, I was like, if you don't keep doing Darkrift, you're a fucking idiot.
He told me,
like after that show.
By the way, for people that don't know, Tommy Curry, he filled in. He was former Sept of Memnon. And
all love to Tommy because he's fucking successful.
He's
and
a really good guy.
He's
a really good guy, and he never once, obviously he's not a bass player, guys.
And he did
he's
great.
He's a guitar player.
He did great.
He played the root notes or whatever we had to do. And guess what? He got through it, and those shows were brutal. Yeah. Fucking people had like broken limbs.
Yeah, man. I still have the scar, man, from where
guys, imagine
was that at B Parks?
That was at Beer Stew.
Metal Fest. Imagine this. The bass player that's supposed to be in our band gets his ass kicked at our show because he's not in the band.
And Tommy, I go up to Tommy after the fact and I said, "Bro, you did a really good job. That was great." And he kind of shit on me. He was like, "Thanks, bro. Should have been you." And just walked off.
Thank you, Tommy. And he's right. It should have been you. But no, we won't rehash that. But the point is especially with Tommy and people that just fill in and they're cool to do that, that's fucking awesome, man. And again,
it's a hard thing to do, too, when you're just kind of filling in.
He was so enthusiastic about it, though. He was really excited.
He's a very agreeable and chill kind of person.
Yeah.
I lived with him.
And he has a Coca-Cola can cock. Is that the episode name?
Triple C's.
We haven't named the episode Coca-Cola can cock yet.
Yeah.
Or an episode.
Well, and again, let's talk about me.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding.
Of course, let's talk about you.
No, I love
What do we call you, Spam Can?
I like that.
Slice it.
1 inch pinch.
Jesus fuck, man.
Wait, is that the episode name?
1 inch pinch. I like that.
I feel like we haven't properly set up Coca-Cola can cock, and that's for something.
Yeah, Coca.
Well, that'll be when it happens.
Did I ever record bass on that?
You did, and it was great. I just was not up to par with my recording
and
skills.
I was really mad about it.
Yeah, no,
because
you
I wanted to
on
record bass
idiot.
on it.
You recorded Dirt Squid.
I don't even have, I haven't owned that bass that I recorded all that stuff in years.
Really, what's going to happen is not only do we, because I have new songs that I honestly, they're not as crude, I guess the word. I'm not saying that I'm not, that was the objective. I just kind of wanted to make a different character out of the Shug where he could be more, I guess, just acceptable, but still egotistical and funny at the same time. And so I will have you record on that.
I have 4 basses now.
But you also are super busy. So if you're like, fuck it, I can't do it, I'm not going to, be all. But
I just missed dicking around and recording, like we did.
Like me and Jake just did.
Yeah, I haven't done that in forever, and you were the only one I really did.
So that was the original point of the podcast was that when you start something, how it gets your goat about it, you go, fuck, this is going to be fun. Me and Jake got this thing. We don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
You could be a part of it. We talked about that earlier. We were like, dude, Lyndon could be a part of this. What will we do? And then that's kind of fun by itself. And of course, again, we don't want to get with people that are going to be super fucking busy, though. We've talked about that as well. Yeah. And you do have 9 bands now, which I wanted to talk about. Forge Master.
I only have 3.
Forge Master?
Yeah. It's Forge Master.
Yeah. And you have 3, Obsidian Hammer, Forge Master.
Obsidian Hammer's going again?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what I have because I'm using the Fender. I got a jazz bass.
And that's Ross, right?
I have one of those. They're amazing.
Yeah. I have a made Mexico one.
Are you going to leave the factory pickups in it?
No, it has Aguilar electronics in it.
How do you use it?
fucking mean.
Yeah, man.
It's so nasty. Like, I traded it for my Explorer.
Really?
I got that in a Warlock.
I saw you got that, and I was like, he is going to have a good fucking time with that.
It's by far, it's probably the best bass I own next to the Ibanez.
And it's the most versatile.
Yeah.
Because I love my Rickenbacker, but if I want a bass that's just going to do fucking everything, it's the Jazz.
Yeah. And they got it tuned in like C sharp, it's the Doom, it's the Obsidian Hammer bass.
Well, Lyndon, what's the members? Sorry. I was trying to ask you.
What?
Was it Ross?
Obsidian Hammer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ross. So Obsidian Hammer was Helm Splitter.
Basically.
Basically, yeah. With a rhythm guitar player and a different vocalist, but it was like the core of it. So it was me and Ross and Nate Boyd, and then Dayton Kaiser. He was in a band called the Paradevice. You remember the Paradevice?
I don't think I've heard of that.
Well, then you wouldn't remember any of his other bands.
That name sounds familiar, though.
Yeah. He came over to our house one time.
Okay.
Yeah. He came over with another guy I know, Derek Nelson. They came over, and like when you and I were recording, and I think we were already shit-faced. Like sitting at your
Jake,
computer,
we
like,
never Jake.
you guys, you come to drink too, huh? Like, and it was like 7:00, and they're like, "No, we're gonna go somewhere else."
Yep.
No, you guys are cool.
That's Obsidian Hammer, and that band is just kind of like, we're working slowly to playing more regularly, but we kind of have to build from the ground up because we're only a band for like.
You were writing guitar riffs for too, or no? You weren't at all.
I've never really written any guitar riffs other than like one or two for Pit Lord.
You have a project that you sent me. The guitar, and we recorded it as well. That's probably what we were recording that day.
Yeah. So I was trying to record. Okay, so I was trying to write some guitar riffs at the time because
like
Obsidian Hammer was happening then.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to do like a Doom thing on my own, and then I did that one song, and that was it.
No, there's 3. I have them still.
Oh,
but those songs are amazing. I in my opinion. Now I don't really know Doom. I thought it sounded like we were kind of because it was
crowbar-ish. That's what I was listening to.
I was like throwing a different groove on it though because it's me, and I'm like kind of. I don't want to say the word producing because I'm just.
That's what you're doing though. That's what it is.
Everybody's a producer though. But
that's no part of that is true.
Producer's a producer in any media, whether it's music or movies. It's so general. Mm-hmm. It means exactly what you're saying. Producing, you had a hand in the production in some way or another.
Well, and I was
you made creative decisions.
Yeah, I was kind of like pushing you towards like a certain thing, but I'm going, oh man, what I really can't wait because you did bass and guitar on one of the songs. I'll have to show you. I sent it to you. You probably just don't remember because you didn't give a fuck about anything I sent you because you're like, screw this guy.
I never said that.
No,
specifically.
But all I kept thinking was, I can't wait to record him on vocals. This is gonna be fucking awesome.
Oh man, it would have sucked so bad then. Like I'd probably not done any vocals at that point still.
Yeah.
Other than just like drinking wine with you and trying to scream to like Deeds of Flesh songs and stuff.
Are you doing the black metal vocals on Pit Lord?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's
I do the high screams.
High screams, and sometimes it sounds like you got a really good fucking, like a metal growl. Like
that's been kind of recent. Because
it's easier. It is on the voice.
Yes or no? There's, but I don't like it as much, and because Dan does really, really good low growls. So like everybody, one of the first things I should say everybody, but one of the first things we got complimented on after we'd played live was the back and forth of our vocal styles and how
compliments
and whatnot. So
harmony, for lack of a better word.
exactly, and I've been trying to do more of. I've just been trying to do more of a guttural screech, and but there are a handful of times where I do kind of like a lower death metal growl, but it's just I can only do it live or like when we're jamming with our in-ears in. Like otherwise, I couldn't sit here and do it because I just don't know how I do it.
Some words just lend themselves to wanting to do death metal when you're doing a black metal. I never have liked my black metal. I always hated it. And
that's all I can do. I wish I could do the lower thing, but
that's all.
I mean, I guess it all depends on what your vocal cords.
I could sing for Skeleton Witch.
Yeah, yeah. It's just what's like.
Derek was so good at it. That's why I was like, okay, you.
Derek's.
Just do it.
I think Derek doing it in Ageless, and then later on, like other stuff. I think him doing that is what made me want to do that.
But his,
I think my vocal, my voice works for that. I have that range. It's like it reminds me of what's his face from Cannibal Corpse, the old singer, Chris Barnes. In that interview, is talking about how he's like, wow, I wanted to sing like Jeff Tate from Queensryche, but my voice just couldn't do that. You know, it's like
I think everybody wants to.
And
sing
I remember,
Queensryche.
Walk in the shadows.
Yeah,
like I can't do it.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I like, and it's for me like just. Having to learn how to be a live vocalist, which is what I've done with this band, is what feels comfortable live too, because that matters,
100%.
And that's what feels comfortable for me for how I stand and how that bass.
And that goes with what we were talking about at the beginning is like, are you going to write something where it's not comfortable because
yeah, exactly.
Shit. And that is a huge and especially tech death metal. But
and this record that we wrote has been more. I thought about how comfortable things were more than any other thing we've done.
Right.
Where I was like, is this going to make sense live? Am I going to want to sing this live? Will these lyrics make me laugh, or will they sound so stupid that I'm less motivated and it's not pumped? It doesn't pump me up. All those things, like when we were so in depth, because when we write the vocals and we write the lyrics and the vocals and we record it all in one night, or at least per song. So we do like 1 to 2 songs a night when we're recording vocals, and we have no lyrics, nothing planned until me and Dan just get together. The vocals are the only thing we do completely 50-50.
Is that when you get your super excitement because you're going?
That's it's like the funnest. It's the funnest and it's the hardest part of the whole process of recording for us, because it's fun because Dan pulls out his little like fold out table and we sit in his living room and we just like have notebooks and we kind of like let the certain parts loop and we just sit there and we both just like kind of write and then we shut it off and we just kind of like we write our parts.
Yeah.
But then this time we were a lot more nitpicky, like even stuff that he wrote that I didn't like or vice versa. We would be like, let's do something else. Like that doesn't fit, or like the phrasing should be like this.
It's really a hard thing to do, man.
It's
part of the whole thing.
Writing lyrics is kind of natural for me, but like phrasing and trying to like, because then you go to record it and you go, oh, that's really hard. To do.
Yes.
Like there are vocal parts on the new album that I've never done those kind of vocals before in terms of like phrasing, and I'm still just like, I don't know how the fuck I did it.
So that's kind of the hey, guess what? Lyndon is I'm just a vocalist on most of the stuff I do. But my solo project, I go, how am I gonna play and sing this at the same time?
Yeah.
And that's what he has to think about.
Yeah.
And Dan as well. So it's like, with Jake, Bud, you're just a bass player right now, but you might throw some vocals on some of this stuff. Man, that's gonna you're gonna go, man, I'm not gonna be able to slap.
If I was gonna put vocals on it, I would write something because that's what I do now. Like when I'm arranging my covers that I plan on busking down in Rock Island, I write an arrangement that I can sing over. That's the only way that
Devin Townsend, I was talking about it. And it's literally the thing that I remembered and is what I've used. And he goes, you just mouth out like the syllables, and he goes, let the syllables write the lyrics.
Yep. I do that
basically as well. Like it's essentially the first lyrics that come to your head versus the syllables and the phrasing that are natural to you. Mm-hmm. And then like a lot of times you can just kind of pick through your thoughts and you can find those lyrics, and it doesn't have to necessarily make sense or have context. Right. Like
I listen to Iron and Wine. I get
it. Yeah. It's so, and like Les Claypool is like a really good example of somebody who the playing and the vocals, it's all one thing. It's
that
not
guy
just playing bass and writing
singing?
vocals over it.
Oh
He's
my
writing
God.
all of that together.
Yeah.
And that's how I do it now. It's just now with the next time we write, we're going to completely change the way we write things. But the way it's been is I have all the bass parts written first, and then the vocals come way later, and I have to learn how to put them together.
When you start singing and playing, you can really see that being done in other people's music. Like they wrote these things together, they tailored them.
You can
to fit. We can't all be fucking James Hetfield and write these amazing rhythms.
But you can.
Daniel
He's
Hungray,
one of the
Martyr.
best examples.
Yeah.
That's the extreme. But
Paul Masvidal.
But James was in the 80s, he was the guy, and it still is relevant today. Like people can't just fucking do that the way that he does.
I've been a lot better now at finding, if I hear a band and the first thing I hear is, I can tell whoever's doing vocals is playing either guitar or bass also. Like that's it does show itself. Like Vader is another good one where Peter from Vader fucking everything he writes vocally is so like meticulously circling around the riffs, like it just makes sense.
Right. Guys like Devin Townsend and fucking Prince are just anomalies because they can do it just seemingly independent of each other.
Yeah,
that's why I said Dan Mongrain, because when somebody I know can't play the fucking riff that he's playing and he can sing over it, like what type of creature are you?
Yeah.
And watching Paul Masvidal, because I never got to see Dan Mongrain and Martyr. Watching Paul Masvidal live, and he's doing this pattern on guitar that doesn't have anything to do with his vocal.
It doesn't fit in any way.
It literally makes no sense, and you're going, dude, you're shredding?
I can tell you now that just playing I don't feel it does. It's nowhere near as fun as playing and doing vocals, even though that's way harder.
And it is harder.
Yeah,
and I love playing Obsidian Hammer shows. Like that's like it's the funnest stuff to play because I don't really have to like think about it too much, and I just have fun. And it's super simple setup. Just plug everything in, and that's it. But when you're doing vocals and there's certain parts that like you really like to do and then like playing it to it, you're outside your body. Dude, it's so different. Yeah, it's such a more powerful.
Yeah.
And when you have those shows like that Chicago show we played where people were just amazing and just ready to fucking thrash, and you feel like you have so much more power when you're doing that. And it's great. Like I would hope to do vocals. I don't know if I would ever be able to not, or everybody be able to just do vocals. That would be a challenge.
Right.
That would be weird. Like live.
What we're getting at, and especially with that, is that there's a unique talent to be able to do multitasking within music, and especially if your patterns don't match for the layman who isn't a musician. So, say for instance, if you're playing something that is not the same as your vocal,
Cemetery Gates. I'm running into that, like playing.
Covering,
trying to fucking play Dime's parts, and back when Phil was a good singer, trying to sing Phil's parts while you're playing Dime's parts is
that would be so weird.
I also have tried this, and I'm not at your level, but dude, it's damn near impossible because of
really
the inflection
hard.
you have to think about.
Especially like Cemetery Gates, that do 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 do, and it's such a kind of wonky riff in the first place. It's hard to line it up. It's hard to line the vocal up with that because Phil doesn't.
Yeah.
And
which, again, to Lyndon's point, he said, I listen to a band and now I know that there's a guitar player who's singing. I try to think of, like, who's a guitar player that, I guess, Devin Townsend, who switches from, to, like, and sings. And that is even just as hard. That's like another
it's like if Howard Jones was shredding guitar.
I was going to say Michael Ackerfeld.
There's some others too, but absolutely,
yeah. Michael Ackerfeld probably he's single-handedly in my book changed the game of music just in general. Like he's another guy who's like, hey, by the way, our album's not going to be full death metal, you know, and that shocked people. He got so much shit for that. The Damnation, with which Deliverance and Damnation, two completely different albums recorded in the same place.
It's really weird how
with
a culture
Porcupine Tree guy
who one of their big talking points is like hatred of conformity.
Yeah.
Demands that you conform.
I mean, I think
Okay.
it's more of a, I know what you're talking about. I think with something like with what happened with Opeth, which by the way, they're still murdering and they still
100%.
they're still huge. They're still one of the biggest metal
Guys,
bands.
if you want to play at Pit Lord's album release, you guys can have the opening slot. Okay. All right.
Michael Ackerfeld, hit me up if you want to play for Pit Lord. But a band like Opeth also has a very niche kind of audience that is huge now, but it's, you know, there's a very
it's their own cult.
Yeah, there's kind of a cult thing with Opeth.
Oh yeah,
and Michael Ackerfeld burnt down all of their fucking idols when he decided not to release just what he said was a clone of Watershed, which I would have been fine with, man, because Watershed was killer.
I mean, there's plenty of bands that just do that. Like,
and they still live off their music.
How many times did Slayer put out Rain and Blood?
Yeah, I mean, I would even say, like, there's another example where Bolt Thrower, they had a full album or half an album written, and we're just like, you know what? We're just done. Because it's just, we're tired of it. It's sounding the same, and we're not going to keep doing this.
What's an artist to do? Because, like, your fans bitch if you do, and they bitch if you don't.
Dude, the idea of being financially dependent on, like, my band from, like, 30 years ago continuing is a nightmare. Like, I can imagine how fucking, like, how torturous that must be. Yeah. If, I mean, at that point it has to be so just your life that, I mean, because I can't imagine Pit Lord would be a band I'd want to do for 20 years. Well, it would have to give me such an amazing life.
I think about that with, like, bands that have been super famous since they've been, and I hate to, because, like, Metallica seems like a dirty fucking word, but
I was Aerosmith. Those dudes were still 60s. In high school when they got signed to, like, Columbia or whatever record label it was. You can't really
know how to do almost anything else.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't go out into the woods with those guys and have them, like, try to teach me how to gut a deer or try to fix a car, or basically have any fucking skills of any kind, because you got famous immediately and this has been your life.
Exactly.
I mean, a band, like, specifically somebody like that may have gotten, you may have had enough time off to where you could learn something, but yeah,
do you think they did that, or do you think they did cocaine?
Probably cocaine for, like, the huge chunk of that.
Yeah,
a huge chunk of that.
We know they did cocaine.
Yeah.
I guess what we're getting at is, and especially with your point, 30 years ago, you wouldn't wanted to make this your thing, but actually you would have, because as a teenager, you literally don't think about money and stuff. You're like, because this is what I thought when I was 14 or 13, when I actually started playing shows. I was like, I'm going to be a fucking rock star, and they're just going to pay me. Of course, that's the world going, hey, by the way, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah, I think a band like Aerosmith or, you know, even like Pantera is not as close of an example, but
when it was way harder to get big than it is now.
A lot of those bands,
literally the 60s.
Yeah, nobody will rock it from point A to point B like that anymore. Although
you don't have to.
No.
You can launch this. You can do what we're doing here and just publish whatever you're doing with no support from anybody, as long as you've got the equipment and internet. That's all you need.
You just need a spider hole, and you can fucking do whatever you want to do.
You just need to. I mean, you literally have, when you have the internet, you can just learn how to do anything.
Yep.
You just have to do it.
Well,
specific so much of stuff Pit Lord does. I mean, we had to figure out ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, with Dan as an indispensable asset, which is like recording, so we never have to spend any money on studio time or anything like that. That's how our merch. That's how we were able to spend money on merch. You know.
I think what it is too is if you do have a jack of all trades in your band, I think your band's going to go a lot further.
Oh, dude, that's another thing with
money.
Legion. I don't know.
Hey,
I really don't know.
Hey, you know what? Regardless, I played with the Legion, and they were so fucking sad.
They shred.
Yeah.
I mean, those dudes murdered, and everybody on that tour had nothing but like. All they would say about a Legion is they are inhumanly good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like they were absolutely one of the most professional bands and hardworking, but like one of the best things of advice you could ever like give to anybody that was young and starting a band is learn how to do so many things.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, because that's what that guy on Instagram I used to watch, Matt Bacon, he has all these like really good, just sort of like tips and stuff. And it's like, learn how to be a graphic designer, learn how to record music, learn how to do video, learn how to do Photoshop, learn how to use Illustrator, learn how to do all these things.
Let me add to that. You know, I personally am not good with certain things. Go ahead, buddy.
Go ahead.
Don't
piss your pants.
I'm going to try not to.
This guy's cool because he pees his pants. Fucking Billy
If
Madison.
that guy's cool, consider me Miles Davis. Anyways,
so my point is, I look at the whole thing and go, man, I'm not good at graphic design. So I contacted my buddy here and I said, Lyndon, you are.
Yeah.
Can you make me a logo? And again, you're busy as a fuck. That's what I was talking about earlier with the other bands and stuff. If you want to be in the Shug project, you're there ever.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to be like a full-time thing. Like I can have Jake play your parts or something if you couldn't play a show, because I do want to make that a band. And then I realized that you have a band, you know, he's trying to do some stuff with Darkrift. I'll have a band. So how do you squeeze that in? And that's kind of where it's going, oh, do we have too much?
Well, like, I mean, the way I've been able to do it is each, like, from Pit Lord down the list, I guess Ford Master would be the bottom because that's going to be the least active.
Okay, so that's kind of just a recording band then? Or?
Well, no, I mean, I'm in the band, and there are intentions to play shows or play a show every so often with that band. It just has to work for everybody.
Right.
Because we're all spread out across the Midwest and a little further west.
So that's going to be basically Darkrift. Because Brandon Park is about 3.5 hours away.
Yeah. Beardstown. Is he still out in Beardsville?
In the middle of nowhere, brother.
Yeah.
We should oh my God. Now, of course, we're going into the winter months, so we won't be able to do this, but we should have another show out there with all of our bands.
Dude, shit, how cool would it be? I mean,
that sounds so good. I just said it. I didn't even think about that till now. Guys, let's put this out in the universe. We want to get all our bands together.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Which is actually Aaronsville, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Derek Aaronsville. We're going to get shitty, and we're going to have...
Man, that'd be so cool.
Tents out. It'll be like a fest.
Because I remember going out to that just thinking, man, I wish I was fucking playing. This would be fun. Even though it's like in a garage.
No, that's the point. We could easily mix it up and have like a stage or something. I thought about
that
it because
seems
there
like
was
a lot.
Well, I thought about it because there was actually in his barn there was like a semi trailer. I'm like, dude, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
And then and just make sure the wood isn't so old that we fall through. Like
you don't really need a stage. You know what? You don't need a stage. You just need a PA. You need a good PA. And
I have a good PA.
You need the power
behind
source.
us.
Yeah, that's true.
The MTX speakers right here are
I got
so
the cops.
loud.
The cops called on us.
Not only would it did, and they were cool.
They were. I mean, I guess.
He said, "You're not gonna do it anymore?" And I said, "Yeah." What happened was, and then I tried to explain it, and he's like, "I don't care. Are you gonna not do it anymore?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're good,
I suppose."
And then we did it, but it was way louder or less loud.
Yeah, and then they came back, and like me, Josh, and Tim were all smoking dope on the back porch, and then they were like super shitty. But
right, but you can't come into our fucking property.
No, that's true. They didn't come through the gate, so whatever. But,
at the gates, morbid angel.
But yeah, all the way back to what we were talking about, like you have to do, you gotta be able to do everything, even if it means you have to learn how to use your email. You know, like that's what taught me how to use my email.
Right.
And different, I mean, Dropbox and,
Yep.
you know, fucking Google Drive, and you got to manage data, and you got to be able to fucking put the correct file names on your computer, you know, when you're doing all this. You know, you got to figure all this shit out. You realize how much it sucks to upload stuff to YouTube.
Right.
You know, you got to learn how to do ad management on Facebook and social media and shit. You got to learn that having your Instagram posts automatically post to Facebook also is stupid. You know, there's all these things that just don't work. And
I think too, you're getting at basically being multi-dimensional here, but I'm stressing what I said. If you can't do it, obviously farm it out, and you did it. And for me, and
I like that too because it gives me more stuff to do, and it makes me better.
You're artistic. I'm not. So I mean actual art, like, you know, when it comes to like looking at a logo, and I don't know shit about that. So you have to be humble in that way. You know, go, hey, what's my strengths and what's my not strength?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, get better at your not strength. But if you know that you don't have time for it, is also, like you said earlier, and this is true with Jake, everybody here, 40 hours plus. We work. And I got a kid, and that's another,
that's one thing I'm just lucky, I guess, that I don't have a child.
Yeah.
Smart enough to not have one or not accidentally have one.
You just... I feel like people in their 30s, when they don't have kids, they just find ways to fill up their time.
Well, yeah, I mean, because that's I would argue, you know, having a child is what, I mean, yeah, no, you're right. I was gonna say it a way meaner way.
You can.
Having a kid means that you don't have time to do much, at least for like, you know, long spans of time. And when you don't have kids, and you know, there are plenty of people that make it work. Derek makes it work. You make it work.
Right.
I know plenty of people that have like multiple kids that know how to do it.
Whether it's like pursuing their art or like fitness is a big one. You see people that don't use that as an excuse.
Right.
And there are some people that don't want to. There are some people that would rather just be parents, which is also fine. And then there's people that don't want to admit that they both don't have the time or don't want to make the time, and, you know, whatever.
I get you.
That's annoying. That's what's annoying to me. It's like, just, hey, just because I had somebody tell me once, it's like, you know, I wanted to jam at one point, but now I just like doing dad stuff. And it's like, that's cool.
You're saying it. You're just coming out and saying it.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Like my dad did that. Like he had stuff he wanted to do, and he would rather had worked and make sure that we could literally
sacrifice. For you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
both my parents did.
100%.
And I remember when my mom went back to work by the time when I was like 9 or 10, I think, and then like my younger sister was 9. Just a year younger, and both my parents were working then, and they fucking, like, my whole thing has always been like, I'm going to work as hard at what I want to do because my parents did that so that I could.
So you could.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm not going to just do what they did, you know.
They did what they did because they had to do it to be decent humans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And fuck it, you know. So, I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, I think you made the point. Like,
yeah. There you go.
The designation of duties is what this is called in business. It's called the designation of duties. So, say for instance, if you are trying to do something and you can't, it's also called opportunity cost, which just means that, you know, you as a parent can't do it because you have a child.
Oh, and there are like, obviously there are situations where people literally can't.
Right.
Like you,
really
because
can't.
like you're a single parent or whatever. Right? I'm not ignorant to that. But it's for some people it's not impossible, and to them it is.
All right.
You know?
I don't know. I
always
just feel
get
like
help.
it's pretty easy to not fucking blow your load in an ovulating woman.
Absolutely.
Well, and again, if you want a child, like,
As someone who has done it and been able to like get lucky, it's like absolutely. Because I was worried about what I wanted to do.
It's such a statistical likelihood that even if you aren't using protection, that she won't get pregnant.
Yeah.
You really you have to either plan it or fuck up.
Man, I tell you what, the chances I took in so many things as a child, like I've been so lucky. And again, that's another thing in my 30s that I was like, I had so many things where I did so much bullshit that could have resulted in, like, who knows, jail time, other people's deaths,
Certainly
many things.
Mine.
Yeah. I wasn't driving that go-kart.
Oh, wow.
But that was definitely, when you and I met, was like when I was the craziest. That was like my wildest fucking... Oh, yeah, because we were hanging out in the same place.
We were all buying fucking opium.
Everybody... Did we tell that story last time we were here?
I don't know that ever got told on the podcast.
You told the story, but I don't know if it's the exact one you're thinking.
Me and Jake used to... finally, the show's going to be funny. The first half of this has been very technical music stuff.
Me and Jake... need to do. This is wrestling with music in life.
You and I met... And I guess you could say everybody we were hanging out with at the time. That was everybody's craziest time. Yeah.
And Freitag was selling me drugs.
Yeah.
Is it okay to say that? Or is Freitag going to be a...
Well, it's fine. It'll get lost in the depths of the podcast.
No one's going to watch it.
All I'm going to say is I'm not going to say where we are. I'm not going to say where we worked. Because we all hung out at a place that me and Dan
mentioned.
Okay, it was. We all hung out at a place that me and Dan worked together, and a few of the other people in the group worked. And
this is years before I met you. This is like 7-8 years before I met you.
Which is so crazy because I didn't realize who you were until like the third time that like...
No, you were just too fucked up.
Yeah.
Because I remember coming in the first time that I came to West 2nd Street.
Yeah.
And I had met Derek too. Like, it was just such a weird fucking thing.
It's because you're like the only other bass player in the fucking county.
He's there.
I walked in and I walked out on the porch I was still smoking at the time. I walked out on the porch to have a cigarette and I'll go, Lyndon?
Yeah, I do remember this.
Jake?
I do remember this. But, like, I didn't remember where I knew you from. Like, it was the biggest thing, and I'm sure we talked about it, but like you said, we were, like, fucked up all the time. And, like...
I got you guys.
But we would party at the same spot where we all bought the same drugs from the same person.
From the same guy.
In the same place who was somebody that we also worked with. And fucking... Every time. And, man, it was this place where all these people that worked in the same place would hang out in the parking lot after close and buy weed, smoke weed, drink. It was a bunch of underage
18, 19-year-old.
Who was of age at the time? Was there at least what was it Rittmer?
No.
There was at least one person if somebody was able to buy alcohol.
At the oldest, I was 19.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like 17 or 18.
That would have made
18.
Rittmer 20, because he was a year ahead of me.
Yeah.
How we were getting our alcohol?
I was buying cigarettes from him. That's for sure. Because, so I had to have been 17, because I wasn't 18 yet.
And he got his shit all the way together. He's a pilot now.
Yeah. Really? Man, I haven't seen that guy in so many years. But that's cool, because I remember that's when he was like first starting that.
I remember all of like that friend group saying, "Oh man, he turned into such a dick. He quit hanging out with us," and that's how I felt at the time. And looking back on it as an adult, I'm like, no, he just decided not to be a fucking loser.
Well, that's that tends to be what happens when you leave a clique, like a legit clique. Right. Everybody goes, "Oh man, what happened to that guy?" And then you look at them and you're like, bunch of fucking dork ass losers, like hanging out in the same basement still. I don't know if that's what any of them are doing. Because I've seen like Peters.
He's such a great dude.
Yeah, I love that guy so much. I run into him and Minnick like every so many years, like together. But we all hung out at this place and would ride go-karts in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the goddamn night. And all of us were loaded.
Dude, So remember there'd be people in the 2-seater go-karts.
That was me and Chris Peters. He was driving because I didn't want to, and that's how this all got fucky. Because we got spun around. Yeah. Someone hit us. Me and Peters got spun around.
I'm just hearing highway to the danger zone.
And so we're driving the wrong way because you can't turn the go-kart around.
Yeah.
You can't turn it 180 degrees.
Nope.
And so we're running the wrong way, and fucking, I think it was Lance, came and just head on, smashed into us, and both go-karts went ass up. And my glasses went fucking flying. And like, I needed stitches, but I didn't get them. Like, I gouged the shit out of my shins on the sharp.
There.
See, I don't think I was there that night when that happened. Because I don't ever remember a big go-kart accident because we did that a handful of times, dude. I mean, I remember.
I think was Bob around there?
Bob was around a couple of times. I remember but he would have been there with me because
one of you remembered this story.
Okay. Well, I was definitely told the story because it was just a night that I didn't hang out. I was somewhere else.
And then we played another game that was available at that place.
Another game where you shot things. It was laser tag.
It was laser tag.
This is all Michael's fault. This is all Michael's But the only person that's still there is Brian. He doesn't give a fuck now. This is all at Michael's Fun World.
Yep.
And it was the greatest place.
It was so cool,
man. It's a short time. And yeah, we would do that and play laser tag and just be in the park at 11 o'clock at night.
And be on various substances.
Drugs. Yeah. Although I was at the time, while I would say I was at my craziest, like I wasn't doing anything hard. I was just smoking weed a lot more. And I was drinking.
That was towards the end of the Triple C run. I started.
This would have been the beginning of that for me. So,
which I
wait. So, are you why Pat Darlin lost all that weight?
Yeah. I am.
I just like the
you
name
killed Fat Pat.
Darlin.
I killed Fat Pat.
You killed Fat Pat.
I named him Fat Pat in like 6th grade.
I am glad Fat Pat the name exists.
We don't even need to.
There's a guy named Pat.
Good.
We were friends. He was fat. We did a bunch of drugs, and then he wasn't fucking fat. He was drugs that I brought around.
Okay.
That's the name of the episode. You killed Fat Pat.
Let's wrap it up, though.
Yeah, I gotta piss, and I gotta go to the store.
I also have to piss and go to the store.
Cool. Let's go ahead and say plug it.
I don't have any plugs.
November 5th.
Nothing. November 5th. That's it. Forge Master album is out. Find that.
Oh man, we should have done a reaction to that. But
well,
you want to still do it?
Just link it.
Okay.
His reactions are bullshit.
It's fun. The number one thing on all the internet is reactions.
That's it. That's it. I don't know. Find Forge Master. It's Pitlord stuff. November.
Jake, you have anything to plug at all?
I don't want to say upcoming, but Darkrift full length.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see that. I don't know.
So we're going to work on a Darkrift full length and we'll update. I'm going to update. It's obviously the podcast, and we're going to say, maybe within 6 months, because you have to remember that we have a real drummer who's going to record real drums, thank God. And we'll be sending that off to people. So I don't know. But all I want to say is, man, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Comment below. Wrastlin with Music and Live, episode 25. This is the best time in life. Man, we just keep going. And why wouldn't we? And yes, the studio is going to change here within a month because I'm getting a new house. And that house is going to have, hopefully, a better non-basement. Anyway, love you guys.